Did you know that the exact credit card reward points you meticulously collect might actually be making you functionally poorer every single day? It feels like the ultimate financial victory when you finally redeem that free first-class flight or look at a fat statement credit. Yet, when you audit your bank account at the end of the fiscal year, your actual savings rate has completely stagnated. In fact, despite all your tactical mathematical maneuvering, your net liquidity has likely decreased, while your unconscious everyday expenditure has quietly expanded. This is not a random coincidence, because global credit card conglomerates spend billions engineering loyalty programs to exploit a specific behavioral glitch. If you continue to chase these micro-rewards without understanding this systemic optimization engine, you will keep sacrificing massive long-term wealth velocity for pennies. To understand why optimization backfires, we must expose a powerful behavioral economic metric known as the transaction decoupling effect. When you execute a transaction using raw physical paper cash, the psychological pain of paying is immediate, raw, and unmitigated. Modern reward frameworks cleverly introduce an artificial earning layer directly on top of your spending layer, transforming a deficit into a gain. Your brain suffers from a severe dual cognitive load, fixating heavily on the gamified gain rather than processing the absolute monetary loss. This psychological decoupling operates exactly like a cognitive anesthetic, completely removing the natural emotional barriers that prevent unnecessary discretionary spending. By reframing basic consumption as a strategic quest with milestones, the financial system shifts your core objective from minimizing outflow to maximizing yield. Consequently, your purchasing filters for mid-tier luxury goods and non-essential items drop drastically because you rationalize the transaction as an optimization victory. You are no longer evaluating whether you actually need the product. You are simply hunting for the next micro-dopamine reward hit. This optimization distortion completely flips the fundamental rules of personal finance, turning your sharp analytical mindset into a tool for capitalistic extraction. The hidden mechanism ensures that the merchant fees and interest charges generated by this systemic inflation are directly funded by your overspending. Consider how often you have spent an extra $200 just to hit a high-tier sign-up bonus or unlock a specific milestone waiver. You spent raw, hard-earned capital to receive a fraction of that value back in restrictive points, believing you somehow cheated the banking system. The entire ecosystem is meticulously structured to keep you hyper-focused on the micro gains, while completely blinding you to your macroscopic lifestyle creep. True financial intelligence requires you to look beyond the colorful point dashboards and analyze the cold, hard systemic reality underneath. If you want to continuously deprogram these capitalistic illusions and protect your real wealth velocity, subscribe to Economecha right now. Now, let us return to the empirical data to see exactly how much this psychological optimization distortion costs you over a year. To prove this phenomenon, behavioral analysts tracked two distinct consumer profiles over a strict 12-month data monitoring period. Consumer A utilized a zero-rewards, high-friction cash and debit mechanism, forcing his brain to face the immediate pain of every transaction. Consumer B used a highly optimized three-card reward rotation strategy, specifically calculated to capture the absolute maximum cashback across all spending categories. When you look at the raw macroeconomic data generated over a 12-month period, the optimization illusion completely shatters into pieces. At first glance, Consumer B appears to be the undisputed winner, pocketing a total of $960 in pure annual cashback rewards. However, the data reveals that Consumer B suffered a silent 17% expansion in her overall discretionary spending throughout the fiscal year. This behavioral shift translated into an extra $340 leaking out of her ecosystem every single month because of lowered purchasing friction. She was unconsciously engaging in category chasing, meaning she spent real money on items she did not need just to hit multipliers. The final ledger displays a harsh reality. proving that Consumer B lost over $3,080 in raw liquidity compared to Consumer A. This empirical case study demonstrates how point optimization functions as an invisible catalyst for subconscious lifestyle creep across global markets. The entire credit card framework is fundamentally engineered around this exact behavioral flaw, turning your smart financial intentions against you. You are celebrating the fractional return of your own capital while remaining completely blind to the macro-level drainage in your savings. The mental bandwidth required to constantly optimize categories creates a state of cognitive overdrive that degrades your overarching long-term asset management strategy. While you are hyper-focused on saving a minor 3% at the checkout counter, your primary macroeconomic castle is slowly eroding. Chasing points creates a distorted psychological feedback loop, where spending money is falsely categorized by your brain as an act of accumulation. To stop funding this highly profitable banking game with your hard-earned capital, you must completely re-engineer your personal transaction infrastructure. Breaking this powerful gamification loop requires you to immediately deploy a highly scientific asset management brain hack known as the fixed friction protocol. First, you must transition your core discretionary spending to a single, completely unrewarded payment mechanism for a strict 30-day period. This deliberate structural change forces your brain to face the unmitigated pain of paying, successfully recalibrating your baseline spending filters. Second, the moment you are tempted by an optimization incentive, you must deploy the net zero filter to protect your wealth. You must mentally subtract the reward entirely from the equation and evaluate the transaction purely as an absolute cash deficit. Tomorrow morning, execute a thorough personal financial audit and look closely at your last 3 specific credit card reward redemptions. Trace the exact transactional history that led to those accumulated points and calculate if your total lifestyle spending expanded to meet those milestones. Turn off the automatic card selectors on your digital wallets today to break the automated optimization path crafted by financial institutions. Force your brain to face the absolute, raw numbers of your outflow and stop funding the credit ecosystem with your subconscious overspending habits. True wealth accumulation is built by optimizing your structural savings rate, not by maximizing the velocity of your consumer debt rewards. Deprogram the capitalistic illusions, regain absolute control over your financial architecture, and protect your long-term liquidity starting right now. By reintroducing deliberate friction into your everyday lifestyle, you effectively outsmart the system by refusing to play their gamified consumption game.